Okay, welcome back to the next series of videos where we'll talk about monitoring this project that we created during execution. And what I'd like to do in this first video is to cover how to change the project status to in process, seeing if we're on track to our targets. We're going to check priorities for the tasks and then conduct kind of a trial update. Okay, so let's go to Concerto. Okay, I've opened the project in Concerto, and it's in the same state as I left it. The critical chain, the buffer, milestones in place, second level or tier 2 level activities on this detailed design task. So let's take a look at, and it's still the 28th, right? So it's 8/28, and I'm ready to take this project and actually change the status from a planning mode to in progress because I'm ready to start it. So what I would do is first, this is an edit mode. So if I want to move this project back into the database, I click this button here called commit. It's also under schedule, project level actions where it says commit here, right? So if I click commit, I'll get a message that the project is committed, and I will also see that its status is now read only. Okay, read only. So anytime you want to make changes to the plan, you will want to edit the network, and when you're done, you commit it so it's back in the database with your saved changes. Okay, if I edit it and I'm editing the project and I never commit it, then those changes will not be saved. Alright, so it's in read-only mode now. Let's go over to the Concerto web portion, and we can see Chris Project 3 here. We can see that it's not checked out anymore. If it still says checked out, just refresh your screen and it should look like this. So it was last updated 8/28, 1:28 p.m. So that's the last time that it was checked in. Okay. So if I wanted to edit again, I would click on this button here. All right. But I don't want to do that, so I want to change the status of the project. So all I do is click on this button here in front of my project, set status, and make it in progress. Okay, I can click back here to go back to the modify page. We can see the project is now in progress. So it has an actual start date of today, and let's assume that a day goes by and it'll be 8/29. And we're ready to do an update. So we started the project, we started the team working on the project. Let's see what an update might look like. And I'll go back to the Gantt to help us do that. And I'll come back here to the Gantt. I know my project is in read-only mode right now, so I'm going to open it up for editing. And I'm going to close the CC analysis box because I really don't need that anymore. But what I'll do is I'll go to schedule and say, wait a minute, my date is still 8/28. So let's assume a day goes by, and I know you can't do this on your server possibly, but I can on this server. So I'm going to change the date 1 day forward. So it's not August 28, it's August 29 in my system. Okay, so you may not be able to do that, but that's fine. You're waiting a date before you do an update. So the date is now 8/29. And I will do a update schedule. So this generate schedule is only used at the start of a project, right? So a new plan that it's yet to start. Once my project is in progress, I want to use either update, which is, you're making minor adjustments, a day goes by, you click update to see the impact. Recalculate is really major adjustments. Maybe streams are changing or large network changes, or we have more things to add, and then we can use recalculate schedule, which looks at the different chains, repositions them, re-identifies a new critical chain, and so on. So update will be the one you use most frequently. We do not want to use generate schedule when we're in a project that is in progress. Okay, so update is the one I'd like you to do most frequently. So we're at 8/29, And I'm going to click on update here and see the impact of moving 1 day forward, and I haven't updated any tasks. So what I should see is some level of buffer usage, right? Since we haven't completed any work. So let's go ahead and update, see what happens. So it's processing, it's sending the data for scheduling, it's updating. Oh, and there we go. So we are showing a 1 day delay to the project end, right? So 1 day delay. And the project is now a yellow color, or the tasks are yellow color. And where did that yellow color come from? So I will show you just for understanding why things might turn yellow. And let me go here and I will commit this. So a day has gone by, I've updated, now I'm going to commit this status, okay, back to the database. Once I commit that, I'm going to go look at the data just for explanation to kind of show you where those colors are coming from. Okay, I'm back. I'm going to come back over here to the Concerto web interface. I'm going to refresh the screen after the update that I just did. And you'll see that the small dot, which is the progress on the project, has moved up slightly, right? So what that means is we use some buffer and we haven't made progress. We have not made progress on our longest chain complete, right? So 1 day of delay. Okay, so good. So we see the delay, and that's why we get this different color in the task. So some streams might be in the red, streams that are running way behind. Other streams may not be, yellow or green. So that would give us different colors. Let me come back here and edit network again so I can make some more changes here. And now let's say that we've actually had more of a delay. Maybe this task, which is now, I can put this task in progress. It is the first task in the longest chain of activities. And if I sort, if I go to tasks and I go to sort and I say sort by start date, it gives us a pretty good priority list for tasks. Right? In this small project, it's quite simple. But even at the subtask level, you can see the priority is to start feature 1, then 4, and then 3, then 2. Right? So we would, if we're going to assign capacity, we would start the kickoff and assign the full team there. And basic design, we would start when we're close to the end of kickoff, and we have, because there are things we need from kickoff to do basic. As kickoff gets closer to the end, we may start basic, as long as we have the capacity required to execute that work and we're not causing any delays in the kickoff task. Okay, so we really want to focus and not start these downstream tasks until they're either ready or we have capacity to do so. All right, so we can see the projections of the project down here. We can always see, are we on track to the project end date, to the completion milestone date, to the internal milestone date. Okay. So you can see we do have some contractual milestone buffer, but it's a percentage, and we're rounding the buffer up to whole day numbers. So if I put this in progress and made this 3.5 days as an example, and then ran my schedule again, update, and I run update. We'll see if I can create this little scenario where, let's move it a little bit more, make this 4. Just want to show you some different colors, update schedule, and you're really seeing the impact of the changes you're making. So this is interesting, right? So this first, now again, this is a pretty linear network, it's pretty simple, but the first few tasks here that feed into this contractual milestone are now a different color. So they're considered red, which is higher priority than yellow. So what's happening, let's go ahead and commit the project so you can see. I'll commit the project. I'll get the little message that says commit is successful. And then I'll come over here and refresh my project status screen. And I'll see the different colors. So we'll see a 2-day delay on the project. So if you look at the project screen here, we can see where my delay or my project is plotted now. We've actually, the original longest chain, this is the original longest chain length. We've actually increased it a little bit. So we went to the left hand side of this graph slightly on the project level. On the completion level, so the project level is right on the edge of yellow. It could be red or yellow. On the completion milestone side, if we look at that chart, it's definitely in the red because we're looking at this trend from here, right? Okay, so that looks kind of funky, this white space on the side of the chart, but that's because our chain has gotten longer over time. Now if we come back to the project, and I'm going to edit network, and a day has gone by, so let's say we've actually made some progress on this task. It was 3.5 days, now it's, say we're going to have 3 days, right? And we're going to update schedule, and you'll see down below where we had 1% of chain complete, 2% here, not whole day numbers, and then some buffer consumption. So we're still in the green here. We made a little bit of progress, enough to keep us in the green. Let's go ahead and look at, let's commit this just to look at the project status. It's just graphically representing what we already know down here, from the projected date calculations. It's taking these dates and putting it on a graph, right? So all we're doing is looking at this chart. I'm going to refresh this. The blank space goes away. Now we are making some progress after 1 day has gone by. Okay, still slight delay, but not enough to turn it red, right? Not even yellow, so it's almost in a yellow, right on the edge there. So as we progress through the project, we would expect to see this chain come up here to the 100, 100. If it finishes at 100, 100, we are on time, and we expect to use this buffer. Right, so this graph may not be that useful for the single project environment that we're working in right now, but I wanted you to be somewhat familiar with the screen and why we're getting these different colors on our charts. Okay, great. If we look at the priorities for the work, we can come up here and go to tasks. We can sort by start date. And this gives us a pretty good, especially for a single project network, there's not much more that we really need to do. We just need to look at the first task that should start, apply all the resource capacity required to complete that work. Do not spread my capacity thin. And finish this work before moving on to the next, for the most part, right? If we have some work in basic design that can start, half day or a day before kickoff completes, then start it for sure. As long as you're not taking capacity from the kickoff and spreading it thin over basic and delaying the finish of kickoff, right? We want to focus and finish, complete kickoff, move into basic, finish basic, move into detail, finish detailed, and so on, as much as possible. So that is really a good enough priority list for now for a single project. If we have multiple streams, then those streams will be lined up here with basically sorted by the suggested start date. Okay, so in this video we talked about the priorities of the tasks. We talked about making an update, putting tasks in progress. We also mentioned that we can observe the project status down below here as far as projections and how many days late we may be projecting, as well as based on the chain complete and buffer consumption calculations. All this data is visible for us in the plan. Once we run schedule, I wanted to show you one thing because not all of you will have a plan that's quite this simple. So what I wanted to show you is if I run update, remember that's the same as running buffer management and execution. So I run update, and what I'll see down here is the project end chain. It's a little bit different than when I get scheduled, but the project end chain, 1% chain complete, 5% buffer consumption, and I can click here to view the top chain, which of course here is the chain, most of my tasks because it's fairly linear. And I could also open secondary chains, right? If I want to see which chain is really producing the impact, but there may be secondary chains there may be a secondary chain that's almost as long as this chain. So I need to consider those multiple chains when I'm looking at the project. Okay, so what I will do in the next video is talk through, make an adjustment to the plan, a little bit around what ifs and recovering a plan that is behind. Okay, great. Thanks, guys.